Good day, grade 9 students, and welcome to our video. For today, we will tackle the non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. These are the certain traits that do not always follow the Mendelian principles of heredity. Under this are incomplete dominance, codominance, and multiple alleles. Are you now excited to learn these things? If yes, I am not going to prolong anymore your agony, and let us start the discussion.
Our most essential learning competency is explain the different patterns of non-Mendelian inheritance. Our targets for this video lesson are: describe the different types of non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance, solve sample problems on non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. Let us try this pretest to measure how much you know about the non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. Identify what is being described or asked in each item. Write the letter of the correct answer in your activity notebook. Your science teacher will collect all your answers. Number 1. In blank, a heterozygote shows a phenotype that is intermediate between the two homozygous phenotypes. A. Codominance. B. Multiple allele. C. Complete dominance. D. Incomplete dominance. Number 2. What are the alleles that determine the ABO blood system? A. IA. B. IB. C. I. D. A. B. and C. Number 3. What do you call the pattern of inheritance wherein both alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype of the heterozygote? A. Codominance. B. Multiple allele. C. Complete dominance. D. Incomplete dominance. Number 4. What will be the blood type of an offspring if a mother has type A blood and the father has type O blood? A. A. B. B. C. O. or D. AB. Number 5. What is the phenotype of the offspring from the cross of red flower and white flower? A. Orange. B. Pink. C. Red. D. White. How did you find the test? Don't worry if you get a low score. This just means that there are more things that you can learn from this video. The following terms used in this video are defined as follows. Allele is any of the possible forms in which a gene for a specific trait can occur. Gamete is an organism's reproductive cell, sperm and ova or egg. Phenotype is the physical appearance of an organism as distinguished from its genetic makeup. Genotype is the set of genes and its DNA responsible for a particular trait. Homozygous refers to a pair of genes where both genes are dominant or both are recessive. Heterozygous refers to a pair of genes where one is dominant and one is recessive. Do these activities. Activity 1 entitled Identifying Phenotype and Genotype. Materials needed are activity notebook and ballpen. Procedure. In 4 o'clock plants, R is the allele for red color and W is allele for white color. 2 pink 4 o'clock flower plants were crossed. Number 1. Read the given problems. A. Show the possible outcome of the cross between 2 pink 4 o'clock flower plants. Letter B. Next, make another cross between red 4 o'clock flower plant and a pink 4 o'clock flower plant. Number 2. Use the Punnett square to show the possible outcomes for problem A and B. Copy the Punnett square in your activity notebook and do the problems A and B. Your science teacher will collect your answers. Guide questions. 1. How many types of gametes will each parent produce in problem A? In problem B? Number 2. What is the phenotype of a heterozygous 4 o'clock flower plant? Number 3. What are the possible phenotypes of the offspring from the cross of the parental parents in problem A? What about in problem B? Well done, grade 9 students! You have finished the first activity. Now, let's proceed to the second activity. For the activity 2, entitled Mystery Bull, materials needed are activity notebook and ballpen. Procedure. Number 1. Read the given problem. Mang Marcelino owns purebred red cows. In his farm, he noticed that after a typhoon several months ago, all of the fences that separate his cattle from his neighbor's cattle were destroyed. During the time that the fences were down, 3 bulls, one from each neighbor, mingled with his cows. For a while, he thought that none of the bulls found his cows. But over the months, he noticed that all of his cows are pregnant. He suspected that one of the bulls is the father. Which bull is it? Help Mang Marcelino look for the father by solving the given problem. Number 2. Determine the possible traits of the calves if a red RR bull is mated with a red RR cow 1. A red RR bull is mated with a white WW cow 2. A roan RW is mated with a red RR cow 3. Number 3. Illustrate your answers using a Punnett square. Number 4. Write your answers in your activity notebook, and your science teacher will collect all your answers. Guide questions. Number 1. What are the possible phenotypes of the calves for each cow? Number 2. How would you apply this to improve the breeds of livestock in your area? Well done! Now, let's move to Activity 3. Activity 3 entitled What's Your Blood Type? Materials needed are activity notebook and ballpen. Procedure. Number 1. Given the blood types of the mother and the child, identify the possible blood type of the father. In this table, you will see here that on the first column is the mother's blood type, which are A, B, AB, and O, while on the third column is the child's blood type, which are A, AB, B, and O. You will identify the possible blood type of the father and write it on the second column. Number 2. Show the possible alleles that can be found in each offspring and write the blood type for each offspring. How to do this activity? This is also a Punnett square where you are going to cross the possible alleles from the mother to the possible alleles from the father. Number 3. Use the table to answer the following questions and list all possible blood types. Your answer will be collected by your science teacher. Guide questions. Number 1. What blood type or types can be found in an offspring if a mother has type A blood and the father has type B blood? Number 2. What blood type or types can be found in an offspring if a mother has type AB blood and the father has type A blood? Number 3. What blood type or types can be found in an offspring if a mother has type O blood and the father has type B blood? Great job! You have finished all the activities. Answer the questions that follow to master the lesson. Number 1. Look for two living things around your area and identify their phenotype. Number 2. What are the possible phenotypes of the offspring if they will be crossed with their own kind? Number 3. Are they homozygous or heterozygous? Why? Keep this in mind. Incomplete dominance is a case in which one allele is not completely dominant over another. The heterozygous phenotype lies somewhere between the two homozygous phenotypes. This results in a third phenotype in which the expressed physical trait is a combination of the dominant and recessive phenotypes. An example for incomplete dominance is the flower color. When a pure red flower plant is crossed with a pure white flower plant, the offspring will produce neither red nor white flowers. Instead, all flowers will be pink. In incomplete dominance, it is only the phenotype that is intermediate. The red and white alleles remain separate and distinct. Half of the gametes of the pink flower carry the allele for red and half carry the allele for white. Therefore, the genotypic ratio also becomes the phenotypic ratio. Codominance. Both alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype of the heterozygous individual. The resulting heterozygotes exhibit the traits of both parents. An example of codominance is roan fur in cattle. When a red cattle is crossed with white cattle, the offspring will produce a roan fur cattle wherein phenotype from both parents can be seen. Multiple allele. Genes which have more than two alleles. This will lead to more than two phenotypes expressed. The ABO blood group system in humans is an example of a character governed by multiple alleles. Three alleles are responsible for this blood system: IA, IB, and I. The ABO blood type is determined by the presence or absence of two antigens, A and B. Allele I does not encode for an antigen. The IA and IB alleles are dominant over the I allele, which is always recessive. However, when the IA and IB are inherited together, both alleles are expressed equally. This also makes IA and IB co-dominants of each other. Now, let us apply what you have learned to help you retain what we have discussed in this video. Write down the traits of your mother and father. Use the data you have gathered to identify the possible outcome by using a Punnett square. This time, share your final insights by completing the following sentence prompts. I have learned that. I wish to ask my teacher about. To strengthen what you have learned from this video, accomplish the additional tasks in your activity notebook. Give two examples for each non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. Explain how they are considered to be incomplete dominance, codominance, and multiple allele. To know how much you have learned from this video, let us assess what you have learned. Identify what is being described or asked in each item. Write the letter of the correct answer in your activity notebook. Your science teacher will collect all your answers. Number 1. In blank, a heterozygote shows a phenotype that is intermediate between the two homozygous phenotypes. A. Codominance. B. Multiple allele. C. Complete dominance. And D. Incomplete dominance. Number 2. When can we say that an offspring is heterozygous? A. A pair of genes are both recessive. B. A pair of genes are both dominant. C. A pair of genes where one is dominant and one is haploid. D. A pair of genes where one is dominant and one is recessive. Number 3. What are the alleles that determine the ABO blood system? A. IA, B. IB, C. I, D, A, B, and C. Number 4. What will be the phenotype of crossing a yellow fish and an orange fish based on codominance? A. Orange, B. Yellow, C. Light orange, D. Yellow and orange. Number 5. What do you call the pattern of inheritance wherein both alleles are expressed equally in the phenotype of the heterozygote? A. Codominance, B. Multiple allele, C. Complete dominance, D. Incomplete dominance. Number 6. Blank is the physical appearance of an organism as distinguished from its genetic makeup. A. Genotype, B. Heterozygous, C. Homozygous, D. Phenotype. Number 7. What will be the blood type of an offspring if a mother has type A blood and the father has type O blood? A. B. B, C. O, D, A, B. Number 8. Blank is any of the possible forms in which a gene for specific trait can occur. A. Allele, B. Gamete, C. Genotype, D. Homozygous. Number 9. What is the phenotype of the offspring from the cross of red flower and white flower? A. Orange, B. Pink, C. Red, D. White. Number 10. What are the alleles that when inherited, it becomes codominant of each other? A. IA and IO, B. IA and IB, C. IB and IO, D. IO and I.
And that is the end of our session for this video. If there are still some things that need some clarification, you can go back and watch the video again. Congratulations, grade 9 students! I hope that the activities that you have answered made you understand the non-Mendelian patterns of inheritance. See you on our next video lesson.